Woo, indeed. We're back. What's up? What's happening? Hoffman back with you on the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, the Odyssey app, and streaming live. Hello on YouTube. We can move this water bottle out of the way. We don't need that in the shot. Sit over there. Back from Los Angeles. I would fresh, ready to. Nope. I mean, I'm ready to go. We're here. We're doing it. But your boy's jet lagged. There's no telling what will come out of my mouth over the next 3 hours. So let's have some fun. Anthony, you had some fun with Doc Walker the last couple of days. We also did talk to each other. I actually did do the show for 30 minutes while I was out in Los Angeles, which was just a comedy of errors coming together there. That was not something that we planned on doing. I did tell you guys if there was big Terry news, I would join. And Terry, there was big Terry news, but I was supposed to be joining Doc instead. Doc had a situation he had to deal with after Rooster. By the way, glad Rooster's back. Glad that guy's feeling better. And I wound up doing a half hour of the show. So it's not like I haven't seen you in a full week. Not like we haven't talked. But how was your week with Doc?
The week was good. Rooster's over there giving me a side eye because he's also just as confused as to why you were, I guess, why you did 30 minutes of the show. So yeah, the week was good though.
You can tell him in a break if he really wants to stick around. You can explain to him the whole situation.
Yeah.
Is this his first day back?
Second.
Okay.
Hold it. Were you here yesterday? Yeah, he was here yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wasn't. I was on a plane yesterday, coming back from Los Angeles. A flight that actually went well, unlike some of the other flights. Maybe we'll get into plane stories later on in the show. Is he wanting to talk?
He's trying to. I don't think he knows how to work his board in there, though.
I mean, he does. You got to just turn his board
I
on.
know how to work the board. I didn't want to interrupt the show. I was trying to clarify with you. Hi, Craig, by the way.
Hi,
Good
Chris.
afternoon. Craig, I was really, really sick on Tuesday.
I heard.
Really sick. It was not a pretty sight.
I heard.
I worked from home on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
I did the show every day.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
you
were on vacation. God bless you. God love you. You were smarter than me. The bottom line is, I did the show. I didn't just return yesterday, as Antoine said. This is Antonio's cheap shot
Antoine's in France. Antonio's in Spain. This is Anthony.
Well, whatever. This is his cheap attempt at trying to level out the playing field because I bust his chops about how many vacation days he takes.
I don't take that many. Oh my God.
He doesn't
Craig?
take that many. He's a man entitled to vacation. So were you.
Craig,
You're entitled to 6 days.
Yes, but I wasn't entitled to anything. I literally could not even sit straight. I mean, I was hurting. I was hurting on Tuesday.
I heard. Look, I'll peel back the curtain a little bit here. I got a text from CK,
Oh,
our
boy.
boss.
Oh, come on.
On Tuesday.
I mean,
saying,
really?
Just do the show from home because you were not having a good time and the studio was unusable.
Well, you were in Los Angeles.
He forgot because he was dealing with having to pick up whatever he was having to pick up.
Well, yeah. So
I responded, I'm not doing the show at all. Like I'm in LA, but text Anthony and Doc.
Yeah.
And then because Doc had internet stuff and whatever, I wanted, instead of being a guest hit at 5:00, I just did 30 minutes on Terry McLaurin because I had nothing else to do.
Well, it's very sweet of you, number one. Number two, welcome back.
Thanks.
I heard you had some travel logistical nightmares, but nothing could approach the nightmare that I had on Tuesday. So yes, that part is true. Me being out all week, me not doing shows, that is
I don't think
Anthony
said that.
That's what he basically intimated. He said he just got back, or
I thought your first show was yesterday.
Yeah, it was an innocent mistake, Chris.
I've done the show every day this week.
Okay, I apologize.
I have punched the clock.
I apologize, Chris Russell.
This really hit a nerve.
I mean, like everyone else, the Rooster survived All-Star Week. Thank God for Terry and Von Miller. Thank God.
Yeah.
And Art Monk, too.
And Art Monk, too, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Anyway, sorry to butt into your radio show.
It's all right. Just 7 minutes down, 2 hours, 53 to go.
But who's counting?
Me. It's Friday. Look, I know I ain't been here all week, but it's still Friday afternoon. Chris Russell, everybody. 1 to 4 every day that he literally can, because that's just the way he is. Where were we, Anthony?
We were welcoming you back to this time slot.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
That was some welcome I just got from multiple people. Anyway, I'm back. I'm excited to be here. There's plenty to talk about. We were going to do more on the McLaurin thing to open, but I'll save that for the next segment because we only have so much time. I'll just say this real quick. Of all the weeks that I could have been out, and for all the people that I could have had in for me, we actually really lucked out on the timing of this, which totally coincidental. We obviously did not know what was going to happen, but the fact that Doc was in all week on a week where Art Monk gets the announcement that his number's retired, like I have a connection with Art. We both went to Syracuse. Let's go Orange. Let's go Orange. And I've met Art. He actually used to, when he was in this area before he moved to Florida, and I don't know if you know this, but he lived in Reston, which is where I used to live. And we crossed over for about like a month probably at the gym that I first was a member at and then ultimately wound up working at. And so I met Art Monk at the gym, and like, he could not have been nicer. But I was basically like, hey, I'm new to town. I actually just joined at the time ESPN 980 as the beat reporter. I just wanted to say hi. Like, I hopefully have the chance to talk to you, talk some football later. He's like, I'm so happy you did. Like, thanks so much. I don't know about the talking thing because I'm actually about to move to Florida. But like, if I can ever be of help, like, let me know. And could not have been nicer. Just a gentleman is all the stories that I've ever heard. You know, you hear that like, oh, he's not a guy that's out there as much as a guy like Gary, who I know you guys had on yesterday, and we'll play that Terry McLaurin bite that Gary Clark said in a second because, boy, that was interesting. But the fact that we had Art on the show, and like I would have loved to talk to Art and have that interview, but the fact that he got to do it with Doc, one of his former teammates, the fact that y'all were able to have Gary Clark on, the fact that Doc was able to give his perspective on a guy who is one of the most underrated players probably in NFL history. Like, Art Monk is truly one of the great wide receivers this game has ever seen. And while I am sad that I wasn't there to like give my take, if you will, my appreciation, I will do it now. This is so well-deserved. It is very overdue. And he's not the only one. Like John Riggins, on down the list, there will be more of this, as there should be. But man, to have Doc on, this week, I couldn't have worked out better. So I'm happy that everyone listening that did get to listen, or frankly, if you didn't get the chance to listen, I'm glad that Doc was in for that. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to Doc with Art, Doc with Gary Clark, etc., then check out shameless plug for what is essentially my podcast, but obviously that's where the show goes. So the Hoffman Show podcast, you can check out what Doc had to say about Art Monk all week, as well as what Doc had to say about anything else that you want interest in. But we now will focus on the here and now with some thoughts. I've had more time to sit and simmer. I did the 30 minutes earlier this week on Terry on the day that he spoke, but I've had some time to sit and simmer with it. And also I want to bring up some numbers as well, not just wide receiver numbers, but quarterback numbers and why that's relevant to Terry's contract negotiation. We'll also talk about the Von Miller stuff. We have amazing guests today. Clinton Yates, Sabrina Merchant for sure are on the show. Yates talking MLB All-Star, Sabrina WNBA All-Star, as well as some of the league surveys and things that her and Ben Pickman have been doing at The Athletic. Super interesting stuff. We also are hopefully going to have Kaylin Kaylor back on the show, which is funny because that's the second straight show for me that she's been on, but she was on last week, my last show, because her and Don Van Natta and Pablo Torre have continued to report on the Lloyd Howell situation. Howell resigned as the executive director of the NFLPA last night. So Kaylin has been breaking news today. If she can stop breaking news, she has agreed to join the show. She's just currently working on stuff. So we're kind of operating on a floating timeline with Kaylin. But so we'll get Clinton coming up at 4:30. Talk Terry next. Lots more stuff to talk about today as well. Happy to be back here on the Hoffman Show. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and you can watch the show on YouTube at the Team 980. So Terry McLaurin spoke on Tuesday, and that obviously started a nice wave of conversations about Terry's contract, team side versus the Terry's side, the agent's side, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's been interesting to listen to some of the talk around this, because getting kind of people around the league's perspectives, and also it's not just like, whose side are you on? I know I saw like a Booger McFarland. I saw I didn't even click on the video, but like, Booger, get it done. That was like the headline from the ESPN alert that I got. But you also like open yourself up to new information. And I have been talking a lot about why this contract is complicated through the lens of Terry's age, but also the length, and why if I was Adam Peters, I would be trying to maintain flexibility by the time that I not only have to sign Jaden Daniels to what will be the most expensive contract in NFL history if things go right, because that means he's continued to be awesome, but also hopefully Mike Sainer still and others. And you will then also, because they don't have a ton in-house right now, like, you're going to have to continually sign free agents, and keeping the flexibility of not having these massive, massive cap hits is an important thing to do. But the more I've thought about it and the more I've listened to smart people, the less I think that Adam Peters' side of this, or the team side of this, has like a real point there on the pure finances of it, in terms of cap space, and what the projections are in terms of Terry's decline. Like, that's a different conversation. And that's one that I also don't if I'm being honest, I don't see the team side of it. I don't want to be paying Terry McLaurin $30 million a year in his age 34 season. Like, that's just not a season. Even if Terry doesn't have a ton of tread on the tires, like, you're not getting this Terry McLaurin in 4 years. That just is not how. If you do, then like, holy crap, more power to Terry. But like, you're clearly not guaranteeing money in the fourth year. You're trying to have the flexibility to get out after 3, probably, which is if I had to guess, is one of the big sticking points, is how much money is guaranteed. Like, is it a 4-year deal on paper that plays as a 3-year, or is it a 3-year deal on paper that plays as a 2-year, where the third year wouldn't be unreasonable if Terry is still great, or you're signing an extension that says like, hey, we're going to let you retire a commander. We're going to bring down your cap number in year 3 / year 1 of the new deal. So you do an extension after 2, and that, but like, you'll get more money overall. So like, let's say the third year has, let's go 12 million for easy math, right? Let's say it's a 3-year $90 million or 3-year $93 million deal. That's 31 a year. AAV number, but guarantees it's basically 30 in the first year, 30 in the second, and let's say it gets 12 in the third. So now you're saying, okay, you got 12 guaranteed, you make 30 million if we just kept you on this deal. Let's extend it another 2 years, but we're going to bring your average down to like 18 million a year for your final 3 years. You get a little bit of new money, but your cap number comes down and everybody wins, because otherwise we're just going to cut you. And yeah, you get some money from us, but you're not going to get as much. You're not going to get that 30 million on the open market. And I don't even know that you're going to get that 18 on the open market for as many years as we're willing to give you. Yada, yada, yada. So all the finances aside here, or not all the finances aside, all those finances explained, you get into, why do you back off the cap restrictions? What is Jaden's contract not what you think it's going to be? And it's like, actually, I forgot something, and I will credit Robert Mays and the Athletic Football Show for reminding me of this. And I'm ashamed, I'll use that word, ashamed, that I did not think of this, which is in the first years of most quarterback contract extensions, they don't have high cap numbers. And so if you're looking at it from the structure side of it, if you're looking at it for how is Jaden Daniels' contract going to work? Let's, for instance, take a look at Josh Allen's contract. So in 2025, now, Josh Allen is set to have a cap hit of just $36 million. This is on a contract where the AAV is 55. He's 36 this year, 36 million, which is just 13% of the cap. Now, next year, he has the most significant of the real years of his contract. So for full reference here, on paper, Allen's contract is 6 years, $330 million. Jaden's will probably be close to $400 million by the time he does this a couple years from now, if not higher, if they don't do some kind of Mahomesian 10 years, 500 million, whatever, right? But if he sticks with kind of the same type of thing that Lamar has done, that Josh Allen has done, kind of your more standard contract, 6 years, $330 million, with a $56 million signing bonus, $147 million guaranteed at signing, $250 in the total guarantees, and an AAV of 55. So with that, in year one, it's 36 against the cap, 13%. His second year is actually the most expensive real year in terms of cap percentage, at least what the projections say. 2026, Josh Allen will make $56 million against the cap at 18% of the salary cap. So that's significant. That is a big number. But then that number drops to 15% and 16% in the next 2 years at $53 and $59 million before an $86 million cap hit in 2029 that Josh Allen absolutely will not count against for the Buffalo Bills. At that point, they will restructure his deal and figure out how to basically wind down his career in Buffalo at much more appropriate cap numbers. So that is how that will go down. And so if we know that buys an extra year essentially for the Commanders, the next consideration would be, in terms of the money being available, is who else are they going to have to sign? Well, Anthony, answer me this. How many players on the Commanders roster right now do you think will get multi-year contracts from the Commanders that are not a part of the last two draft classes? So you weren't drafted by Adam Peters, and you will sign a multi-year contract extension with the Commanders.
Probably just one. That's Juan Martin.
Yeah, I think that's probably correct. Let me pull up a depth chart just to make sure.
Because Sam just got paid.
Yeah,
so.
Cosme already got his, so he would be the other one, and obviously he's gotten his. Daron Payne is probably the best player that would be under consideration here. That's not Terry. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that he's going to get I guess he could get a multi-year extension if he balls out this year. But I don't know that that's going to be the case, considering what they signed Kinlaw for, and Johnny Newton's already in place. So is B-Rob? Probably not. He's a running back. Yeah. Receiver, there's none of the receivers outside of Terry. Debo, I guess, could get he could get a 2-year, but I feel like he's going to be on essentially rolling 1-year contracts. You sign him to a 1+1 with an extension, whether it's a team option, player option, that'll all be figured out. But Debo's never getting top 10 receiver money again in his career. He's just not. He's past that point. Tight end, they just signed Bates, but it's not big money. Offensive line, they will have to figure out Tunsil, and that could be a big one. So I'll give them that.
Maybe our center, Biotish.
At some point will get an extension, but I don't know that he's going to be one of the 5 highest paid linemen.
Yeah.
Tunsil's the one that's going to be interesting. They already signed Cosme, but again, they have Coleman, Connerly on cost control contracts. So the money spending on the offensive line, there's plenty of room there. None of the D linemen are going to get massive deals. Luvu, I don't think linebacker money is not significant, even if he does get a multi-year extension. Bobby's playing year to year. And then in the secondary, Lattimore, I don't think is going to get another huge contract here. None of the other corners are either old enough or good enough. And then there's Quan. So that's it. Yeah. There is not and that goes back to thinking about what free agency has been the last couple of years, right? Like, they got to sign free agents. They're going to have to sign a ton of free agents because they're doing a ton of the year-to-year stuff, and I get it. But, like, big free agents aren't hitting the market because all the really, really good players are re-signing with their incumbent teams. So unless a guy's hell-bent on not getting out and that team, for whatever reason, doesn't use the franchise tag, the idea that you're going to spend all this cap space on big-time free agents doesn't feel like that's where the league is. And so at that point, I guess this actually is a nice lead into like what Gary said about Terry and comparing him to Art Monk of like, we're quibbling over a couple million for the heart and soul of the team. And this is where, like, I wish that Adam Peters, like, it's bad form, to be clear, for Adam Peters to come out in the press and say why he's not willing to do it or to negotiate in the press or to tell us the numbers. I wish they would leak it because I want to know because I'm curious. And there is a possibility, there is a situation where Terry's agent is asking for something that is just like, no, man, we're not doing that for whatever reason. But if it's even like, would you pay Terry McLaurin $33 million a year, considering the cap sheet, considering what he's been? Like, I kind of think I would, which leads to Gary Clark saying this about Terry to Doc yesterday on the show.
Terry, each season, he's gotten better and better and better. And I don't care that he's 30 years old. So what? I mean, he's still balling. I mean, he's balling, and I get it. I get it from the one standpoint, but what I do hope is that they get Terry signed, because Terry and Jaden together, that's something hard to deal with. I know we got some help that came in this year. I know we got some help. We got some help to come in, but Terry, it'd be like losing Art Monk.
I mean, I don't know how much higher praise you get than that. Art Monk, HOF. And by the way, that's from Gary Clark, who is a two-time Super Bowl champ, All-Pro, multiple-time Pro Bowler. So I'm sure Adam is like, Gary, no. And again, I will hold out that there is a reason that this isn't done. As much as I love Terry, I would pay Terry a lot of money. I feel like I would have had this thing done probably because I'm a bad general manager in this situation. I'd be like, sure, Terry, whatever you want. But I just refuse to think that like Adam Peters is a moron. And I think that's the part where sometimes we as fans, when or people on the outside who don't have all the information, whether it's fans, media, whatever, is it's really easy to be like, get the deal done. But like, we don't have all the information. And we can't be like, oh, Adam Peters is really smart. Adam Peters, in Adam we trust. And then the second he doesn't do exactly what we would do, be like, that guy's lost it. So Terry means a lot to the organization. Adam knows that. Terry's an awesome football player. Adam knows that. I don't know what the disconnect is, but I do think when I think about the window and some of the things that I thought might be holding this deal up, they actually, once you think about how the math works and the situation, and the last factor I'll add in is look at the Von Miller signing. This team wants to win now. You are not going anywhere without Terry. Now, maybe that means Terry's agent is like, guess what? You're not going anywhere without my guy, so pay up. And Adam is like, how much? Like, what? You're already asking for... And by the way, as Garrett Wilson signs, that helps Terry. As TJ Watt signs and the price of non-quarterbacks goes up, I think that helps Terry. But ultimately, like, they got to come to a deal. And I still think this will get done. I very much hope this gets done quickly. And I will. The last thing I'll say is I would guess Adam is very motivated to get this done by Tuesday, because that is their opening press conference, I believe, is Tuesday. And if I'm Adam Peters, the last thing I want to do is answer 10 Terry McLaurin questions on the eve of my season, what is supposed to be a season where my superstar young quarterback is going to lead us back to the playoffs and we start opening a Super Bowl window. Like, that's the goal. And so If I'm them, I'm highly motivated to get a deal done this weekend. We'll see if it actually does. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. When we get back, we will be joined by ESPN's Clinton Yates. Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We're also now live on iHeart and TuneIn as well. So basically, if you can listen to audio on your phone, we're there. Clinton Yates, you can listen to him on the ESPN app. That's where you find Clinton and friends. You are back in your LA studio. I am back in DC. We were actually in opposite places most of this week. It was very bizarre for me to walk past the LA Live ESPN 710 LA studios and be like, nope, my friend is not there. Yep. And it could have been a day, Clinton, had you not been at the MLB All-Star game in Atlanta. There was like massive Commanders news with Terry speaking that day. I could have been in studio with you, sitting in a chair that's now 3 feet from you and 3,000 miles away from me.
You know, they call these sliding doors moments in Hollywood, and that was very much one of them. And I would have probably, honestly, rather have been talking about that because it was sweltering in Atlanta, and it was a sticky week and weekend in the ATL.
Yeah, we got off the plane yesterday in DC and we're in the jetway. We're not even like exposed to the elements yet and go, oh no.
Yeah.
Like this is DC peak swamp right now in more ways than one, but we're just talking about the weather.
I mean, exactly. And you know why now I am completely acclimated to California weather. I'm never coming back, not for any long amount of time, unless I absolutely have to. It's just too pleasant to pass up.
That's when people get me is like for cold. They're like, didn't you go to Syracuse? I'm like, yeah, for 2 years. And I hated both winters. I grew up in South Carolina. I'm cold. Stop yelling at me.
Exactly.
Anyway, we are going to talk. That's enough about the weather. Now to sports. MLB All-Star game in Atlanta, MLB All-Star week in Atlanta. James Wood is kind of the Nationals highlight. What did you think of him and kind of the reception of him, like the star power element of him in the home run derby?
I think he carried himself really well throughout the entirety of the weekend. I mean, he's a young kid. You got to understand that, like, the thing about the All-Star game is that a lot of players, even veterans, do get starstruck, and it can be kind of, I don't want to say an overwhelming experience, but it is the kind of thing that has a lot going on to the point that some guys actually avoid it because the level of attention that you get from all sorts of parties around is very difficult to manage. I thought he did a great job with it. Not only did he perform in the home run derby very well, he got about 15, I believe, and he was the first guy who went, and he still managed to do well. A lot of other players thought he was going to win, which to me is such an interesting accolade when your peers are like, oh yeah, we've seen that guy. He's going to get a bunch out. And so he had a good performance. He didn't win. Cal Raleigh obviously was on the heater of a lifetime this year with, the Mariners catcher. He was not only leading the league in home runs, he also won the home run derby, and he hit from both sides of the plate. That was incredible. I'd say the best moment though, Craig, it's pretty cool. The best moment though, Craig, was, so I was in the auxiliary box, which is in left field at Truist Park. When Cal turns it around to the right side, he hit a ball that came straight at me, but I was behind the window. In front of me on the terrace were other daggone media members. He detonated some poor girl's laptop right in front of us, hit the thing. It went flying. Luckily, all was well, and she was okay anyway, and she got to keep the ball, and I think she got to meet Cal. So, yeah, that was the funny part about it, is that sometimes life gets real. It was pretty funny.
Wait, is there video of the laptop detonating?
I don't know. I mean, somebody might have video. I mean, it was literally in front of me. I didn't have enough time to react.
Yeah.
But I did take a picture of the end result, and there's like a streak on these, on the top of the computer, and there's a mark on the ball. So luckily nothing was actually destroyed, but it definitely went flying off that desk. It was amazing.
That's crazy.
It was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's why you bring your glove to the game, kids.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're in the target zone. I'm curious, what did you make of the weekend overall? Clinton Yates, ESPN's with us here on the Hoffman Show, fresh off MLB All-Star in Atlanta. I know the ratings were down, which is, I can't say is surprising, but it's always interesting for especially someone like you who just loves baseball, and you're surrounded by people who love baseball. Like, who cares how many other people are watching? If you're I'm not saying the league should not care about that.
No, I get it.
But what's the experience being on the ground in Atlanta?
I think it was a successful weekend. There was some issues, some controversy going in, because of, the ABS challenge system, which I don't love for separate reasons. But
I want to talk about that in a second.
I know. Here's what I'm
going to say.
I do think it made sense in an all-star game context, and it worked just fine. Also, the ending was a little gimmicky. They do that home run derby swing off kind of deal. I think people don't understand, though, that the reason why they do that is because the starters have literally left the ballpark by the time you get to that stage of the game. They're not hanging around. It's kind of a break for them. And so as soon as they can go, they go. And a lot of people have issues with that because they sort of feel like it kind of cheapens whatever's going on. But I don't. I feel that, especially considering the fact that that game was moved from Atlanta to Colorado in 2020, whenever it was, and they finally got it back. Look, the Braves are a franchise that, again, Hank Aaron has been a part of that. All of those, National League East division winning championship teams. The Braves have a serious history, and they honored Henry Louis Aaron in a nice way on the field. I thought they did a good job. My feelings about the heat of Atlanta and the swelteringness of the Battery as a location are one thing, but the All-Star game is kind of hard to screw up. And I don't think that that's something they did this year. And the players went back to their regular uniforms. So a lot of people enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, no, I always like that. Or it's like, oh yeah, like it's all of the stars together.
Yeah.
I do think that, like, I don't know. I try not to be like, hey, these guys make a lot of money guy that often. But I do think it's like, hey, you guys are making a ton of money. You can show up for this. You can also support the other, like the guys.
Yeah.
You don't need to leave the ballpark. Like that's, I mean, like imagine you're the guy who is an all-star and you're finishing out the game and like the starters are already gone. Like that feels weird.
It is weird, but I think also if you're used to the grind of the regular season baseball schedule, these guys have so much to do every single day. They're at the park all the time, and any modicum of a break they can get, they take. And, it's tough because as a fan, you look at it as like, oh my God, what's the big deal? All you got to do is play baseball. But when you're doing it literally
For sure.
250 days a year, it gets to be a lot. And I understand why these guys want to get out of town and find some rest and relaxation away from the cameras and away from the fans, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Hey, got the jet waiting. Gotta go. So the ABS system, we've talked about this before. I am pro robot umps on balls and strikes because I think that the whole point of rules is for them to be like, human error is a part of the game.
Yeah.
The players, not the umpires. Your job is to enforce the rules. They're there. You are more of an old school thinker. You like the variety in the strike zones. You like the human error element part of it. In some ways, like the ABS is a nice, like, where it's not just like you just learn if you struck out or not by a dot coming up on the scoreboard. Right. But it's like, hey man, you missed that egregiously. Tap the helmet. We're going to fix it. I liked it. I thought it worked well. The flow of it was great. That's where I'm at. What did you think being there and seeing it?
Let me ask you a question, Gregory. Are you a fan of speed cameras? Do you like it when you're going 3 miles over the speed limit and 2 a.m. and nobody's there and you get banged for $50 by a camera? Do you enjoy that?
No, but like it's not the same. I get the point you're making.
Do you enjoy it if you're out of town and you make a large purchase and your bank declines your card in front of your friends because the algorithm said that's not you? Do you enjoy that?
No, well, that's a terrible analogy because I had the credit limit. Like I didn't break a rule there. That's a safety and security feature.
Okay, so you don't.
The speed limit camera is a good one. Like that's a solid one. I'll give you that. That's a good analogy. No, the other one, I'm glad you workshopped it here. I hope you haven't used that on the air.
I have used it on
other air
before.
Okay.
The point is that to me, it's just one of those things that yes, there is a world in which people who care about this are satisfied by it. But you're right. I am a P1 baseball fan. To me, as somebody that grew up playing the game, that interaction is the fun part. And I know that rules are rules, et cetera, but longer discussion, more existentially, the rule of law does not make right, but that's not really the point here. My thing is that if you get in a position where you've opened the Pandora's box to effectively eliminating the purpose of the umpires overall, you really are taking something away from the game that is difficult. And here's a couple of examples that I'll give you. Number one, a lot of the players don't like it. A lot of the players will tell you, this is weird. I'm not going to think about that. Like, I'm used to dealing with a bad call here and there. And quite frankly, sometimes I don't mind just yelling at an ump. It is what it is. It's a pitch. But I was talking to Cameron Maben on the show. He was a longtime big leaguer, won a World Series in 2017. And here's what he said that I actually thought made the most sense. He said, if nothing else, it actually gives you, forget about the actual replay, the psychological effect of an ump realizing that they could get shown up in a big spot might just make them lock in more. And if that alone is what the effect is, then that's a win for everybody. I would contend that if you want better umps, get better umpires. But I understood what his point was. His point was that the whole entire exchange is messed up by the fact that nobody wants to look bad. Well, if you don't want to look bad, call the game the right way, because now there's something to show that you didn't in real time. And that I understood, especially coming from a former big leaguer.
Yeah, I love that, but I'm also realistic to the fact that these guys probably are about as good as you're going to get. Like, sure, there's some that are really, really bad, and, you know, like Angel Hernandez recently retired, and I don't think anybody was writing him. They were like, please, like, what took so long? And there is some tremendously bad calls that we've seen, including like the famous Armando Galarraga game and like other famous blow-ups where it's like, yeah, that pitch missed by a foot. Like, clearly the umpire had a vendetta, whatever. These balls are also being thrown 100 miles an hour. Now, like, not proverbially, literally 100 miles an hour. It's really hard to see, and they move. And so, like, I actually would hope that the umpires look at this as a thank you, as to be like, it is hard to do our job. This will allow us to administrate the game better. And if that's how they approach it, and that's how the players approach it, like, hey, this is going to help administrate the game better, which is ultimately like what I want to see happen with rules. Sure. Then I am for it. And that is both the sharpness and then like, hey, if we do make a mistake, no problem. Like, I messed up. I'm human. Let's correct it. I'm not going to hold a vendetta against you for challenging it. Move on.
I don't disagree, but I do think there's something to be said about how this is going to genuinely affect the gameplay of baseball. Like, people act as if for years strike zones being malleable wasn't kind of the entire operation. Dude, go back and watch Nolan Ryan highlights. Go back and watch Greg Maddux. These guys were not as on the plate as you think. And some of the greatest pitchers of all times knew how to work a zone because they knew how to work an umpire. And so that's something that I think we've got to take into account. There's more to this than just the rightness and the wrongness. It's the fabric of the game that is being chipped away at that. I'm not as angry as I once was about it, my analogies aside, but I do think that there's something that you're taking away because it also starts to affect the way that like kids view the game. The K zone has everybody thinking they're an umpire. Everything is a commodifiable data point. I don't love that. There's part of the game that's just you get out there, you throw it, you swing it, you get it out, or you don't. You slide. If you missed it, you missed it. You're in, you're out, you win some, you lose some. That's baseball. When we get too far down into these data sets, you're doing something more, and we don't live in a simulation, Gregory. I don't like that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I don't want to say like I've reversed course on replay, but like there are elements of replay in multiple sports, especially basketball, where I'm just like, what's the point of this? Like the correct call is what it does to the flow of the game. Like now we're talking about like a tip ball that forever for 100 years was out on the team that tipped it, but it like rolled off the fingertips of like I don't want to do that, but I do think like. The thing that I've always liked about replay in all sports is like, let's correct clear and obvious errors. And so if you want to have a 6-inch margin, like if that pitch missed by 6 inches, it can get overturned. If it didn't, then not. Like I'd honestly be fine with that. But I think that's where I'm at. Like you and I actually agree on this a lot. Right. It's just like in that little fine gray margin is how much of this we actually want. But that's kind of where I'm with you on that. Like let's not ruin the game.
I can't remember whatever the calls are that the fouls that you can call that were not called on the floor, but if you see them in a replay, you can call them. Like, that's the kind of stuff where I'm just like, no, thank you. And I don't want baseball to get.
Well, I actually like the proximate foul thing in the NBA because it's like, but what they do, like, I like how they do it. It's like, we miss the call, right? So we don't call a foul on the player. Sure. It's for an out of bounds. It's like the reason the guy lost the ball out of bounds is because he's fouled. And so what they used to have is they used to have to overturn it knowing they missed a call. And now they just make the outcome correct without adding a foul to it.
Right.
I actually like that.
Again, the way that used to work in every high school basketball game we know is that you just gave the ball to the other team. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right, which is what they essentially do now.
I know, but I don't need a replay. I don't need to stop time for it. And that's all my point is that baseball forever was a game without clocks. It was a game that time just allowed to happen. And we're getting closer and closer to something that feels more like a video game than it does the actual game. And that sort of, in theory, bothers me probably more than the actual application of the usage of the system, to be quite honest.
Basically, we're both getting old.
Yes, correct. Right. I'm an old man. These are the clouds I'm yelling at.
Yeah, your clouds have less humidity in them than my clouds, and now we've come full circle. Clinton Yates with us here on the Hoffman Show. Thank you, sir.
You love speed cameras. Goodbye. No, the analogy is not a credit card. What's up, kiddos? It's your boy Clinton Yates from ESPN. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980. Tell your mama I said what's up.
Still hoping to catch up with Kaylin Kaylor later on in the show. ESPN investigative reporter who's already dropped one bomb today. The new strip club findings that I mentioned about Lloyd Howell, the now former executive director of the NFLPA, in what's trending. She and Don have also had more on Howell and just his conduct. There's a sexual discrimination lawsuit against him when he was at Booz Allen. And really my questions aren't so much about Howell, like, especially now that he's gone. It's just like there's really interesting discrepancies on how much vetting was done. Some players are like, yeah, we knew about some of this stuff. And my question would be like, if you knew about it, why did you hire the guy? And two, other players said, we knew nothing about this stuff. So what's going on there? We'll talk to Kaylin Kaylor, hopefully, in the show. She has said she's going to join us if she at all can. Just the nature of reporting. Like, as someone who has been a reporter, like, I know sometimes that's how that goes. So in the meantime, Anthony, we will talk about the fact that the Commanders signed Von Miller. And now all their edge problems are gone, right? I'm assuming that was the reaction yesterday from everybody? Everything's good now?
I don't know about that.
Oh, you mean Von Miller's 36 years old and hasn't had a good season in a couple of years, and perhaps just because it's a guy that you heard of doesn't mean he's any better than some of the guys that you have?
I mean, I think in the reps he's gotten, he's been, solid. I think his snap count is just down. So, but I think for the snaps that he's been on the field, I think he's been pretty good.
I mean, he's not the player that he used to be. Like,
nah.
It's the fact that the snap count is down. He used to be I won't say every down player, but like a more consistent player. And he used to be an excellent run defender. Like he was a brutal edge setter with incredible speed. He was very hard to run on, and that part of his game has gone down. His pass rush grade is still pretty good. It's just obviously the snap count is way, 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 way down. He made his last Pro Bowl in 2019, his last All-Pro in 2018. Whatever the PFF 101 honor is, he last made that in 2021. That was the season he was with the Rams. But like his defensive or his Super Bowl MVP was in 2016. Like his first AP first team All-Pro 2016. PFF names their All-Pro team. The last time he made that was 2018. Like, it's been a long time since Von Miller's been at the very top of his game. But like, as we saw in 2021 with the Rams as a situational player, like he could be absolutely devastating. But overall last year with Buffalo, like it's limited, right? That's what I would say. Like he still had, I mean, his grades on PFF were pretty good, but like his max number of snaps in any game last year was 32. And from a production standpoint, PFF counts their sacks a little bit differently than like the official statistic. He had 6 sacks last year. Do they have pressure rate in this one? No, I don't have pressure rate in this particular column. But yeah, like it's 6 sacks. If they can get an extra 6 sacks, great. Could Jacob Martin also get you 6 sacks? I don't know if the answer is no. And I think that would be my question is like, how much better is Von Miller than someone that other people haven't heard of, that is younger, that maybe has a higher potential upside? But I think you also balance that out with the fact that like Von Miller's run a pass rush camp for a long, long time. He has incredible institutional knowledge of how to do this. This is a guy who the pedigree he has knows how to win. He's an interesting cat, to say the least, like kind of a country. He wears the cowboy hats, and he's from Texas, and in every single way. I get to the off the field stuff in a second. That like I don't like the fact that they brought him in, considering the recent allegations against him a couple of years ago. But just as a football player, like what separates him from say a Jacob Martin, I don't know how much of it is the actual production in terms of totals. My guess is Vaughn is one of those guys like TJ Watt, like JJ Watt when he was playing, like Aaron Donald when he was playing, that has a knack for the big play at the right time. And that is a very different skill set. And those are a very different 6 sacks than the 6 that you get just by playing hard and hustling. And if he can be that guy, then this is a home run signing. I honest to God don't know if he can be at this point of his career because he's 36 years old and it's the NFL and it's hard. And that's how 36-year-olds in the NFL work or don't.
Yeah, and I think when you bring up the fact that, he's been a player that can make the big play in the big moment, you look back at the run he had with the Rams, he had 4 sacks during that Super Bowl run. So I think that is a testament to, him being able to, make those splash plays when they count. And then also on another side, I think his signing also just speaks volumes to, what AP and Dan Quinn were able to do in terms of turning around the culture and, us being a place where, free agents actually want to come. Like you have Bobby, you have Zach Ertz, you have Austin Eckler. You have these veteran free agents that are willing to, and wanting to come play here and then also contend. My only concern is, though, we're old as hell, though, Craig.
Yes,
it is a little problem, but I think us being old is also because of it's more so a cause and effect to what Ron Rivera and his staff did for those 4 years in terms of poor drafting and poor talent management. So,
yeah. I mean that is 1,000% valid. Like it is. And this we talked about with the Terry thing. Like part of the reason I'm willing to pay Terry and not play hardball and just reward a guy who's earned it as much as anybody can possibly earn it is because I don't have anybody else to give that money to. And so this is kind of the interesting thing is, despite the fact that they're starting in this rebuild, so to speak, now, because they had the season they had last year and have done things to be competitive, you're acting like a win now team. Like you have a window. You're kind of, to me, Jaden Daniels' career is going to happen in 2 parts. There is going to be a competitive window that opened the second he got here because he was ready to open it. And that window is going to be designed around bringing in veteran players and maximizing the fact that you can pay those guys because of on short-term deals and afford to have more veterans and actually, in a lot of ways, an older team because of the rookie quarterback contract. Then there will be a period where everyone's going to be like, oh, well, now they paid Jaden. The other thing that will have happened is Adam Peters will finally have stocked the cupboard with other guys. Like, they have to construct the roster this way because there's nobody here. When they got here, they flipped over more players last year than any other team in the league. From 23 to 24, no team had more new players than the Washington Commanders. And in 24-25, they are pretty high on that list again. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but they did a lot of changing over with draft picks. They have trades, guys like Tunsil and Debo. They have changed over a decent amount. Well, they brought back a lot of players. Ertz, had guys like Biotish and Luvu, who were multiple year guys. They brought back Ertz and Wagner and Noah Igbenogany, so up and down the roster, some of these 1 year guys. But what you will actually see over the course as Jaden gets older, not just because of the money side of it, but because Adam will be the one drafting them and hopefully they will be better, is you will see younger players. There is a risk with that, right, of being old. Like, what happens if these guys fall off? What happens if Vaughn hits the age cliff and he's just totally bad? What happens if Zach, if Bobby? But you also have, I think, as long as they don't, you have a floor of just a bunch of dudes who know how to ball. And you're also getting hopefully, if you bring in the right kind of guys, the mentor types. And from what I know about Vaughn, I would guess he's that way. This is a guy that, again, holds a pass rush camp every year. In the same way that there is tight end Von Miller is kind of that guy for pass rushers in the league. I will come to my camp. I will teach you how to do this. And so to have that guy in your room to help develop a Javonte Jean-Baptiste, to get the most out of a Jacob Martin, nevertheless, what he and Dietrich Wise can exchange notes on as veterans, I totally get the signing. I would be remiss if I did not say, if you read the reporting around the domestic violence incident with Von Miller in 2023, it is horrifying. He and his 6-week pregnant girlfriend got in an argument, and initially she claimed that he grabbed her by the hair and pulled some hair out of her head. There was hands around her neck. She left with bruising around her neck as well as some abrasions on her arms, which is often consistent with fighting someone off. it, like, to imagine the horror of that woman in that moment, nevertheless knowing she was pregnant, like, that's terrifying. And ultimately, she recanted the story. Now, it should be pointed out that often in domestic violence cases, especially in something like this, where like Von Miller, this is his longtime girlfriend. They have children together. Like, you recant the story to kind of keep your family together, and especially because Vaughn is the guy who's made all the money. But that does not give him a right, obviously, and he would, I assume, say this too, and if not, holy crap, that's a problem. That does not give him a right to physically abuse anybody. Like, that's a no-go. And the Bills were clearly okay with whatever happened. It is multiple years ago. The NFL said their piece. Charges were eventually dropped. She made her decision. And she has that right as well. If they were able to work it out, I don't know. Maybe he agreed to some therapy. I don't know. I don't know. I just know enough about domestic violence and know enough about the way power systems and power structures work when it comes to violence against women that I would have serious questions about bringing someone with that kind of rap sheet, or that kind of, I don't say rap sheet because that implies that there were charges and they became more than charges. And there weren't, but that kind of incident, especially when there was another one in 2021, like, that's, I don't like that. I'll just put it that way. I don't like that. I understand from a football standpoint, this is the last time I'll mention it, but I'd be remiss if I did not say, like, I'm uneasy with that, and I wish that that wasn't the case. If that wasn't the case, I would be 100% excited about this, while knowing that, like, the impact, the upside of a guy who's 36 is going to play 15 to 25 snaps a game is limited. Like, it just, that is what it is. So I'll leave that there for right now. All right. We're still waiting to hear from Kaylin. We also, for you today, have WNBA All-Star Talk with Sabrina Merchant. And we have Take Command for you, Logan and I discussing the Terry McLaurin situation after he spoke on Tuesday. So all of that still to come. In what order, TBD. We'll discuss and come back with more Hoffman Show next on the Team 980. 5:30, I think we're going to talk to Sabrina Merchant, and then hopefully we can get Kaylin in the 6 o'clock hour. More on Terry McLaurin's contract in the 6 o'clock hour as well. The Hoffman Show here on the Team 980, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, the Odyssey app, as well as stream live on YouTube at the Team 980. That there is Anthony Haney, super producer of the show. I'm Craig Hoffman. Believe it or not, I still host it. Is this the part, Anthony, where we tell people I'm out again for a very long stretch next week?
I thought you were going to save it till Tuesday, but
yeah, I got some family stuff I got to do in Ohio, so I will be out. Take Command will still be able to go, but because of the timing of the things we have to do and just the lift that is a 3-hour radio show every day versus Take Command, I unfortunately will not be able to be on the air as training camp opens next week. So that's a bummer because obviously it's an exciting time of year. I'm not going to be able to go to Ashburn either, which it's always fun to be out there. And there's just it's the first day of school excitement. And I'm bummed to miss it. I'm bummed to miss it with all of you and share that with all of you. But I got, life be lifing. So I'll be out next week and the start of the following week as well. And then be back after that. So that's that. Before I do all that, though, we got a couple more shows Monday and Tuesday. We'll spend a lot of those shows previewing training camp and kind of resetting, right? Like maybe Anthony, we even do like the offense on Monday, the defense on Tuesday. We'll spend significant time on each position group. We'll come out of those 2 days with an initial 53-man roster projection. So we got a bunch of stuff to do. Logan and I also on Take Command did our top 10 commanders. We did that on the radio last year. So we'll go over those our picks this year. So with all that said, Anthony, plenty of stuff to do next week. Lots to cram in. But before even next week, there's a weekend, which means it's time for a weekend preview. Hey, Anthony, while I was gone this time, did we get a sponsor for that?
yes, we did.
Oh, the weekend preview brought to you by
Doc Walker.
Oh, Doc's paying for it himself?
No, I'm joking. Nobody, man.
Hey, we'll take those Doc dollars. Those are valuable. Those are valuable buckaroos.
Yes, sir.
All right, big thing this weekend is WNBA All-Star. We'll get to that in a major way with Sabrina Merchant at 5:30. The Nationals are back in action. Obviously, the Major League Baseball All-Star break gave the Nats, let's say, a much-needed break, Anthony. They fired Mike Rizzo. They fired Davey Martinez. They lost their first game to the Cardinals. They came back with a very nice 8-2 win over St. Louis, and then they lost the final game of that series 8-1. And then, man, the pitching staff is just a nightmare right now. Like 8-3 to the Brewers, 6-5, 8-1. Swept in Milwaukee before the All-Star break. Come back, reset. They hit the Padres tonight. I mean, I just don't even know what to say. Like, you got Mackenzie Gore on the hill on Sunday, so hopefully you get a good outing then. But it is the pitching is so unknown with the Nationals right now. If you go to ESPN.com and you look at their schedule, they literally have blank spots because they don't know who to put in as starters for half. Like, for the opponents, there's pitchers all the way down into, next weekend. We could start with next weekend's preview. For the Nationals, it's Soroka, Parker, Gore. Blank spot. Soroka, Parker, Gore. Blank. Not great.
Not great at all, man.
So, Nationals. Fingers crossed. If you want to check out, preview the second half of the season and more on the Nats, check out Bustin' Loose Baseball. The Open Championship this weekend, Anthony. How much golf are you watching there in Northern Ireland?
Sadly, I would love to watch the Open, but I will be busy this weekend.
Oh.
My fraternity, as you can see right now, that I'm representing right now.
Yes.
Well, not my fraternity, my chapter in my fraternity.
Okay.
They're all in D.C. We have a Kappa chapter roundup, so I'm going to be with those bros all weekend long. So if you hear me barking and, hopping and stuff like that, yeah. I might have to turn back the clock this weekend.
I'll bring you some ibuprofen on Monday.
Thank you. I might need it for real.
Yeah. I don't know whether you'd be more sore mentally or physically, but we can unpack that on Monday. What's the thing you're most excited for this weekend on that front?
Just seeing like all of my fraternity brothers. Like there are some people in my chapter I have not met. And we actually had a hospitality suite at the courtyard, and I went to go chop it up with a couple of those guys before I came here. But yeah, it was just good to, meet some of the guys. We're in group meets and all types of WhatsApp group chats. So it's finally good to, put a face to a name and just build that, our friendship. Like we're founded on friendship, our fraternity. So
that was a nice thing that I got to do in LA. So like Sabrina has been on the show multiple times. And like we text back and forth about W stuff on a semi-regular basis. Never met in person until courtside in LA, where I had to leave my seats where this will stun you, Anthony, because like Tony Squares and I, my partner on the internet show and who helps me with all my YouTube stuff, like we're buds. Never met in person.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like we were in school together. There's a chance we've been in the same place before, but like we actually, like we didn't know each other in school. We had a mutual friend, which is how we ultimately got connected a decade later because we're old now. But like it was bizarre because Tony and I were talking, and it was like and he was like, yeah, like we'll finally get to meet, and I was like, wait, we haven't met. I mean, wow. I know we've been in the same place because I think we were both at our friend Matt's wedding. But yeah, like I got to meet Tony and I got to hang out for realsies, which is great. And internet friends can become real friends if they're actually your friends. It's the beauty of it versus just like the very superficial relationships that you have online often.
Yeah.
Tony is taller than I imagine.
Really?
He's a legit 6'1".
He's taller than you.
Yeah, he is. I'm a legit 6 foot, not a DC 6 foot. I'm a real 6 foot. I've been told I've been 6 feet tall by a doctor.
Good. Zaire tries to tell me he's 6 feet, and I think he's 5'10" and 3/4. But
I'm not going to argue with NFL linebacker. Zaire can be 6'3" as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, he's tried that too. So,
damn.
Yeah.
Damn. As for the Open Championship. I don't know how tall Scotty Scheffler is, but I do know he's very good at golf. He's got a one-shot lead going into the weekend at Royal Portrush. I don't know what accent that was. It wasn't Irish. Royal Portrush Golf Club in Portrush, Northern Ireland. Matt Fitzpatrick is one stroke back. Brian Harman, the American, is 2 strokes back. Got a couple more notable names. Obviously, everyone's looking for Rory McIlroy to make a run, but he is going to have to come from a long, long way back. He is -3, which is like good for tied for 12th. There's just a lot of strokes to have to make up there in his home country. So that is the Open Championship this weekend. And then really the big highlight of the sports weekend is W All-Star. Like NBA Summer League is wrapping up. But by this point, all the big stars stop playing. Like this is the kind of silly thing about Summer League is they have the competitive part of it, and there's a championship game at the end, and it's good fun. And by the way, it's really important for the guys that are playing right now. Like this part of Summer League, the back half of Summer League, will help determine whether these guys get professional contracts or not. Now, not two-way contracts, not G League contracts for a lot of them. We're now at the these guys are going to play overseas portion of the proceedings, but there are a ton of international scouts. It is a huge showcase specifically for American-born players who want to play overseas. So it's really, really, really important to them. To the NBA teams, none of this matters. Like, you are now at the point of the calendar, respectfully, which I feel like it just did a good job of showing the requisite respect, of the calendar where they don't really care because the guys that are wearing their uniform are not going to be wearing their uniform even in training camp, nevertheless, during the regular season. So, but Summer League's still happening through the 20th, so 2 more days.
It is. I've caught some of the footage. Bronny looks good in Summer League.
He has.
Jameer Young, who is from this area, went to DeMatha. He had a 40 ball for the Chicago Bulls, so
love that.
It's definitely some good outings that we've had this summer league so far.
Yeah, we've seen, I mean, VJ Edgecombe had a huge debut in the Utah Summer League and then basically hasn't played in Vegas, or if he's played at all in Vegas. Cooper Flagg had a really poor first game, but then was awesome in the second game, dropped 31. Dylan Harper had a couple nice performances before
Trey
they shut
Johnson
him down. And then I was going to say, so there's two top guys, and then Edgecombe's the third pick, have been great. And then I was reading a piece from Kevin Pelton, our friend, earlier today, and KP said the third best player of the rookies at Summer League was Trey Johnson. Shot it very well from three, shot it very well from the field. I'm very curious to see his aggression level once and kind of what he's empowered to do once Brian Keefe is his coach, not J.J. Outlaw, in the Summer League. J.J. Outlaw, by the way, great story. Former Eagles receiver who has made his way in the basketball coaching ranks and was the Wizards Summer League coach. But, once, like, how does he fit in when the vets are out there? But Sarr had some nice run. I'll tell you who looks awesome, dude. Keyshawn George looks phenomenal. Like, that dude is a player. Like, a fourth or fifth starter on a good team. Maybe not yet. But I also don't know because the Wizards are not currently constructed to be a good team. If this group continues to grow together, we'll see just how good they can be. But, like, Keyshawn George is going to be a 10-plus year in the NBA guy. And you can see it. Like, Will Dawkins mentioned Keyshawn, like, specifically at some of the end-of-year stuff. And especially, like, around the draft. He's like, you guys should see what Keyshawn has grown into. That dude looked like sometimes the guys who are, like, league ready look like men amongst boys in Summer League. Keyshawn George, like, fit that to me.
Yeah, I was talking to Linnell about Keyshawn. He and I both agree he could potentially be our best young guy, like, in a couple of years.
He's an interesting guy because I don't know that he's ever going to have the ball enough to be, like, your best player. But, like, could he be the best player relative to the role that he's needed to be for this team? I think that's possible. Now, that becomes a convoluted conversation, but he's right now, like, he looks phenomenal. Poor Mark Jones called him Keontae George and Keyshawn Johnson. Could not get it together. It's like, Mark, I know you got a lot. Man, calling Summer League's got to be hard, but also that's your job, so it's what it is. All right. As we said, the biggest thing this weekend, WNBA All-Star in Indianapolis. Sabrina Merchant is going to talk about that. Brittany Sykes getting the call up to replace Caitlin Clark. Plus, there is the biggest, like, story actually out of the weekend is the WNBA is negotiating with the WNBA-PA on their CBA. Got all the BAs and the PAs there. So how's that going? Not great. Sabrina has the latest. We'll talk about it all next, live from Indy on the Hoffman Show. The Hoffman Show. We're on the team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Of course, now live as well on iHeartRadio and TuneIn Radio. Back from LA, back in the chair. Hope that you guys had a nice time with Doc Walker while I was gone. But while I was gone, I got to see our next guest in real life, Sabrina Merchant, who's now in Indianapolis. She was in LA because that's where she lives. I was in LA. I got to see you at the Mystics Sparks game the other night. So this is my real life friend, Sabrina Merchant from The Athletic, with us here on the Hoffman Show. What's up?
I love to be real life friends. It's such an upgrade over just people that I talk to on the internet.
Right, which is something that, like, in modern times is with way too many
The thing
of
that
internet
happens,
friends.
yeah.
So it was good to see you. Talk a little hoops there on in the like floor level right next to the court in LA. But now we're going to talk hoops as you're in Indy for WNBA All-Star Weekend. And surprisingly joining you very last minute is Brittany Sykes, the third All-Star from the Mystics, which is pretty neat, obviously, for DC and what is being built here. But what'd you think of her being named the replacement for Caitlin Clark compared to, other potential options? And what have you made of Brittany's season?
Once it became clear that Clark was not playing, I thought Slim was the obvious choice for her replacement. I should caveat that by saying because Kayla McBride had already been selected, I thought was also a deserving All-Star. So it's nice to see, somebody like who's in her 30s make her first All-Star game. Like that's just a very cool development story. And I got to spend some time with Slim back when she was in LA, and just incredibly hard worker and like one of the best athletes I've ever seen, frankly, in the WNBA. And the way that Sydney Johnson has sort of jiggered the offense to like give, Sykes these attacking lanes to the basket, I think has really benefited her. I mean, leading the WNBA in free throw attempts. She said she got the call from Jamila Wideman at like 6:30 on Thursday morning that this was happening, and like booked a flight as soon as she could. And because of delays, didn't even get into Indy until like 4 a.m. Friday morning. So it's just been like a very quick turnaround for her. Good thing she's not in any of the skills challenges, because I feel like that would be not to the best of her capabilities. But it was just a sweet moment during practice. Like Natasha Cloud was there because she's doing the skills challenge tonight, and they're obviously former teammates from the Mystics. And Cloud just like runs up to her and gives her this huge bear hug and like lifts her up and it's like, "Hey, you finally did it. Like we finally did it. We're here."
Yeah, I mean, she's so deserving. It's amazing for someone who's been all defensive team as often as she has, and for someone who's clearly, as we've seen this year, so capable as a scorer, for this to be her first. But she so deserves it. And I think it's awesome. Obviously, the caveat here for the league and on the larger picture is it happens. I mean, you can make the argument she should have made the team initially, even over Caitlin, based off of, again, the number of games really that Caitlin's played this year. But like, it really stinks for the league. We talked about this when we knew that, because actually the night Caitlin got hurt was Tuesday night when you were actually, I think, the person who told me, like, "Hey, did you see what happened with Caitlin in Indy?" And so the fact that it's in Indianapolis, like she was kind of the unofficial host of the weekend. Like, what have the vibes been knowing that the league's biggest star and the hometown, star player is there now only as a host, as opposed to someone who's going to participate in the 3-point contest and the actual game?
Well, I guess the cool thing about All-Star is that because it is, planned out a year in advance, it's not just Indy fans, right? Like everybody gets a chance to be here. If you're a WNBA fan, this is something you can plan your calendar around. And it's like since the moment I've landed in Indianapolis, the airport is like completely decked out in WNBA All-Star stuff. And it's not just Caitlin, it's all 22 of the All-Stars. Like there's even some Cheryl Reeve Sandy Rondello stuff happening, which I think to me is overkill. But like everybody's getting, some love from the airport all the way through the city. Like they've changed the names of some of the roads. So like in addition to the regular street signs, you have like Liberty Avenue and like Sparks Road and all these things. And uh, the love of basketball is just so palpable. Like honestly, if I'd like forgotten that Caitlin wasn't going to play, nothing from the vibe around the city would have suggested that something is off, right? Like everybody's still very excited for All-Star here. And I think it's awesome. I mean, was I looking forward to seeing Caitlin in this game? Obviously, the 3-point shootout is honestly where I'm missing Caitlin the most because I think her versus Sabrina versus Kelsey Plum and Alicia Gray is just like, and Sonia Citron, sorry, I don't mean to leave her out. It's just an incredible field.
Come on.
But yeah. Wrong show to do that on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the energy is still really, really good. Maybe it'll change when we get back to the regular season and you feel Caitlin's absence in a meaningful way for like the Fever to make, a meaningful postseason run. But for now, like everybody's still in very good spirits about All-Star being here, and like the fact that Caitlin is not playing, other than the changing the Team Clark game plan a little bit because they're not going to be able to get up as many 4-pointers, which I understood was a big part of their strategy in the drafting of the team. But yeah, I think energy is still pretty high. People are really happy just that this event is here for the first time, and there's just like a good, vibe around the WNBA. So I was honestly expecting more of like, oh, this kind of sucks, no Clark, but like there's so much love for the W happening that it's still been pretty good.
I love that. And I also love that Lexi Hull is going to be her replacement for the 3-point contest. So you still get a hometown player in the game. And she's having an outstanding, like her game has expanded. It's kind of almost funny that she's in the 3-point contest because of all the things she's starting to do beyond just being like this 3-and-D spot up shooter. Sabrina Merchant from The Athletic is with us here on the Hoffman Show. And you and other frequent guests on the show, but not real life friend yet, Ben Pickman did a really cool series on The Athletic that's been coming out over the last week or so, where you did a huge player survey. You in the methodology, you guys explained like we didn't do rookies because they don't really have a feel for the league yet, but of the veteran players, you guys got like a third of the league. So it's a pretty substantial sample size that are answering these questions. Just broadly, before we get into some of the things that I found interesting, what did you find interesting about the questions that you asked and some of the answers that you got?
Yeah. So just like from a method perspective, we offer players, the opportunity if like they want to take part, and some of them do turn us down, like even though it's anonymous, they just don't want to like be a part of this, which is totally fine. So there are like some natural biases like based on who answers and who doesn't, and who you have the opportunity to talk to one-on-one, frankly.
Sure.
But I'm most interested in like this being a CBA negotiation year, like what their priorities were there, um, expansion wise. Like we did a lot of the surveying before Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia were announced. So hearing where people wanted the W to expand to was a really interesting part of it for me. And then also just like what people think of like if you could play for another team, like what's a well-run organization that you would want to play for, especially because we did a survey very similar to this 2 years ago, and like the change in how people perceive different franchises around the league is kind of massive. So those are the ones that really stuck out to me.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think one of the things that stood out to me that I also thought was interesting this was actually I don't even technically this is part of the survey, but when you guys did the methodology on like market size and stuff, how low Washington ranked, and this was not something that was done in terms of like fielding responses. You guys did like TV market, and then I guess it was like arena size, and arena size, obviously, if you're talking about ESA versus the potential to play at Capital One, drops Washington.
The sticks there, yeah.
Right, which they want to do. They're doing construction. They have to do it sometime. You can either do it in the middle of Capitals and Wizards season or Mystics season, and unfortunately, the Mystics are getting the short end of the stick there. 2 teams versus 1. Nevertheless, the crowds they draw, et cetera, et cetera. But hopefully long term they can. They did set the attendance record last year in the last game of the season at Capital One. So hopefully that's something in the long term. But putting that part of it aside, like what were the general thoughts on Washington and seeing what they've built this year and the new folks in charge, obviously Jamila, Sydney, et cetera?
Yeah, so that was actually a different project that we did, like these future franchise power rankings, sort of just assessing what we thought each team in the league's like chances of success were over the next 5 years. And
Right.
so like the player poll was we interviewed the players, like that was their opinions entirely. This one was we talked to a lot of GMs and people around the league and just sort of got their sense of like what
Gotcha.
they think about, organizations and stuff, and then try to like sort of develop a formula of like, okay, well, this is what matters. Like this is what is weighted a little bit more. So you mentioned one of the categories was like market size and arena. One of them was front office and ownership. Another was facilities and amenities. Then we've got just like players, big part of it. And then like draft assets. So that was a little bit more like me and Ben opinion, I guess. And then, while also like sourcing a lot of that from people around the league, just what they think is important, for a team. Like, does it really matter that your arena only has 3,500 capacity? Like, or is it more important that you have a place where you can practice all the time? Right. So that was a different project that took an insane amount of time, but like it's been really interesting to see the feedback on that one too.
Yeah.
Washington is interesting because like Jamila and Sydney are so new, right? And there isn't a track record of what they have done over a long period of time. But then you look at like everything that the Mystics have done since Jamila Wideman came aboard, and it's okay. Well, they drafted Sonia Citron, Kiki Iriafen. They hired Sydney Johnson. They traded Errol Atkins for like the pick that becomes Sonia and like a 2027 swap, and they traded Carly Samuelson for a first round pick too. And it's like, well, have they missed yet? Like there's just a lot of good decisions that have been made so far, but like how much are we going to project that when it's only been 6 months time, right? So that was one of the interesting things to sort of balance with Washington was how much predictive power is there here, because there was such a long run of Tebows, right? And then we move into this entirely new era. So I think some of the feedback was like, well, how can Washington be higher than like these more proven front offices? And it's, well, like, again, they haven't made mistakes yet. And then also you look
Right.
at their young core and it's, you kind of have to list it out, but like it's just so freaking deep, right? Like I wouldn't be surprised if 4 of the players 25 and under on the Mystics eventually became all-stars. 2 of them already are, right? So that was like something that came up was just like the GMs do this survey before the start of the season where like they rank the teams with the best young cores in the WNBA, and like nobody picked Washington. And I realize Indiana is like a runaway favorite in this category because Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston exist, but I thinking about just the potential for like how many players on the Mystics could hit was also something that sort of stood out, was like there's a lot more love for the Mystics young core than I thought coming into this project.
Yeah, and then you have like even players like Shug Sutton who are having like really solid years, and Jade Melvin's 21 years old. Like
Hmm.
go beyond the obvious, and it's
Right.
pretty crazy. Which actually I think like becomes a very interesting question when you're talking about trying to project forward, as you guys talked about in that project, and this is where it kind of meets the player. What you thought interesting in terms of the CBA negotiations, which is like, what does it mean to have a young core?
Hmm.
Like, is that something that is worth having, or is that something that's going to be destroyed by expansion drafts? Like, are you better off having cap space? How much movement is there going to be? And that's kind of the other story looming over this weekend. We
Hmm.
know there was a huge WNBA PA meeting the other day, and they had some meetings with the league, and the PA meeting, I'm sure everyone was like, we're united. And then they go into the league and be like, they're not with us. So what have we learned about, like, what have we learned about these negotiations? And then what are we expecting out
Hmm.
of these negotiations? Or is it going to come down, like so many of these do, to like, they're going to be right up against a work stoppage and then they'll get something done, or won't, and there will be a small work stoppage of some kind?
Yeah. So most of my day on Thursday was spent just hanging out at the Marriott outside of where this meeting was being held between the league and the WNBPA. Just sitting in the hallway waiting for people to come outside, talk to us.
Reporting is fun, they
The
said.
timing of the meeting, yeah, it's really fun. The timing of the meeting was such that a lot of the players were like heading to the WNBA orange carpet directly from there. So they kept using this as an excuse, like their security would block them from, like the few of us who were sitting there trying to talk with them. And then they would say, like, oh, we have places to be, right? There'd be like a car waiting for them to take them right away. So uh, I thought it was interesting that, like, coming out of the meeting, there was very little, there wasn't a message yet, right? Like, I think the players were kind of still processing, like, from what I understand, the league has not budged on its revenue sharing proposals. They're still is not a method for the players to capture more of the business as it grows than they currently do, which clearly is a problem. And the league is also standing really firm on more games and expanding the schedule footprint, which is a thing that players are already complaining about, right? Like the 44 games this season has raised a lot of ire among the union already, and for them to want to keep adding to that is like apparently a big priority for the owners and not something that the players are all that interested in. But like sometimes, like when you want more money, you have to like perform more duties, right? So I guess there that might be where we see some of the give and take. But yeah, I think having talked to like some players now after they've had some time to process, and like the executive director of the union, Terry Jackson, no one really said that like progress was made, which I thought was very interesting. This is the first meeting that they've had in the calendar year 2025. They haven't met since December of last year. Um, and you think about like the rest of the regular season to come, it's not like there's a lot of time where you can get all the players together to meet again before this October 31st deadline. And if we're not having progress now, then like what is the schedule here, you know? So I understand
Right.
like the leadership of the union can meet more often. They can, send communications back and forth with the league, but uh, 4 months is really not that much time. I do feel like we're hitting kind of a crisis point here, and it doesn't seem like there is a fundamental level of agreement between the league and the players on how they should split this, increasingly growing pie of money coming into the WNBA. And that kind of a big deal, right? This is not like there I'm not saying that other things that the WNBA wants are not a big deal, but this is literally like existential to like the fabric of the league, right? Like who gets the money. So uh, I'm increasingly of the belief that a work stoppage, if not probable, is very possible. And that's something that the players have talked about. Like they are preparing for that to happen in terms of putting money away and things of that nature. So um, I mean, none of us would like that, right? The WMA is such a good
No.
place. You wouldn't want to stall this momentum, but it is something that the players recognize with the leverage that they have in this particular moment. They can't waste it, even if that means, a slight work stoppage.
Yeah, I wonder what work stoppage could theoretically mean to like you can say, okay, they're locked out after the last day of the season. And like that would, to be
Mhm.
clear, like that would be bad. There's a lot of players that work out at the team facilities in the off season, and like not having those resources and being able to talk with coaches. Like that stuff is serious, but
They
the
do
off season
league
is also
marketing
very
deals, during the off season, which gives them money
100%.
too, right? Yeah.
A hundred
Yeah.
percent, but it's very different than missing games. And the off season, in terms of the
Mhm.
games, is very long. The thing that I also wonder about that I wound up talking about a little bit a couple weeks ago when the Aaliyah Edwards trade rumors were swirling is like, I don't know what
Mhm.
to do if I'm a GM heading towards the trade deadline. I don't know the value of players that are on rookie deals because I don't know, am I going to lose them for nothing because of how the expansion drafts are going to be happening for 5 new teams the next 5 years? Or, are there not going to be like some of that stuff is CBA related, and the lack of clarity there, I think, is completely unfair, but also I don't know how you avoid it. And it's just tough. And if you're a team like, to bring it back to local, if you're a team like the Mystics, like, I don't know what you do with that information besides gather intel and like be ready to move if you feel like you need to,
Right.
which I wonder if that's kind of what happened there. But yeah, I don't know what to do with all that information, knowing there's so much uncertainty and you're trying to either make a playoff push or keep your assets, maximize. Like that's tough.
Yeah, like, are we still keeping 2-year lottery odds, for the top pick in a draft? Like, that changes how you approach a rebuild, right? Like, do
Totally
you need to be bad for 2 seasons or just for 1, right? Um, so I guess the only fair thing is that everybody's operating from the same,
true.
position of uncertainty. But I kind of think that uncertainty is going to force some action during this trade deadline. Like, I do think that just knowing what the terms of engagement are in 2025 means like we know how to compete for a title now, even if that potentially sacrifices some things down the line.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic, you can read her and Ben Pickman's work in the WNBA Player Survey, as well as this GM / Ben and Sabrina motivated forecast of the future. Very, very, really, that's probably terribly described. I'm so sorry, but it was a great read that I actually legitimately read in the airport yesterday, the whole thing. So everyone can read it at their house. Do that. Just go to The Athletic and check that out, as well as Sabrina's coverage from W All-Star Weekend. Sabrina, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And see you soon. And we'll talk in the second half of the season. All right, that is Sabrina Merchant with us here on the Hoffman Show from The Athletic. And as that happens, I'm getting texts from a potential other guest. So we still, I think, are hopefully going to have Kaylin Kaylor in the next hour of the show. So in some order, the rest of the show looks like this. Kaylin Kaylor, ESPN, is reporting on the NFLPA nightmare unfolding. Lloyd Howell resigned last night. Okay, she just said she can do now. So next, Kaylin Kaylor will join us to talk about that. Then take command on the Terry McLaurin contract situation. So that is our final hour. Again, if you missed any of the interview with Sabrina or a chat with Clinton Yates earlier, make sure you check out the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Odyssey app. And this is the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and the Odyssey app. Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're also now live on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, as well as the Odyssey app. And we do stream live all 3 hours on YouTube at the Team 980. It's our pleasure to kick off the final hour of the show with ESPN's Kaylin Kaylor, investigative reporter extraordinaire who has had a very busy day. Breaking news such as the headline, ex-NFLPA boss Howell's strip club expenses sent to investigator. You think that was what you were going to wind up writing when this whole story kicked off and we talked about it 2 weeks ago or a week ago, Kaylin?
No, it wasn't. And, yeah, things just, as we kept reporting, I think we did four total stories. I'm trying to remember now. There were 2 last week and 2 this week. Yeah, I think we did 4. As we kept reporting, different things about what was going on at the union and Lloyd with the collusion grievance and the silence around the collusion grievance, the confidentiality agreement between the PA and the NFL. And then we reported that Lloyd is working as a part-time consultant for a private equity firm. And then we reported yesterday that there was a dispute between NFLPA executive members and player representatives over whether they were informed about a 2011 sexual discrimination and retaliation lawsuit that Lloyd was sued for when he was an executive at Booz Allen in 2011. We reported those details yesterday, and it just was like little by little we just getting more and more as we continued to report on this. So no, I did not anticipate that it was going to go in this direction of using union company money to pay for visits to strip clubs.
Fair enough. I expected a lot of turns in this to be not savory, but that's certainly one that's not expected. Although apparently this is something that he also apparently got in trouble for at Booz Allen. So I guess if you know that piece of information, it becomes less surprising. We can get into that. Like, that is salacious and like it's obviously bad and it's serious. I loved the quote that you had from a former union general counsel in the story where it's like, I just can't imagine someone possibly being that stupid in terms of the optics of this, nevertheless using the funds. But to me, Kaylin, the most important thing that you and our friend, your colleague, Don Van Natta, have reported over the last couple days here is that discrepancy between the executive committee and player reps about how much they knew about Howell as they were electing him as president. What can you tell us about that process? And I guess what you've reported and kind of who you're believing and how you can possibly square the two accounts of the same groups of people, or people who were allegedly in the same room saying, we knew about this, and other groups that or other people that say we didn't know.
Yeah, so it's really complicated because the process that the union used to select Lloyd Howell or to even select him as a finalist was different than what they had done in the past. In the past, they had a more, it's been described to me as a little bit more of a chaotic, where they did not use an outside search firm in the way that they did this time around. And the player representatives, 32 player representatives who vote for the union director, they previously, before this time, the last time they elected D, they got 2 weeks to be able to research the candidates. They learned who the finalists were with 2 weeks before the vote. But at some point before this last election, the player representatives voted to change the Constitution to say that this time around they would not get 2 weeks notice. They would just find out who the candidates were on the day of the vote or the day of the meeting for the vote. So that changed a lot of things. And what happened is these player representatives showed up it was a 16-month long process. The NFLPA hired Russell Reynolds Associates to be the executive search firm to basically recruit and find the candidates for this job. And they did a lot of recruiting for people who may not necessarily have applied to it, but would be good candidates for it. And so that was a 16-month long process. And at the end of that process, the player representatives all gathered in Virginia at a hotel for 2 days. And when they walked into the meeting room on the first day, that is when they found out who the 2 finalists were. It was Lloyd Howell and it was David White, who was the executive director of the Screen Actors Guild union, obviously a huge union in Hollywood. And those were the two finalists. The two finalists didn't know about each other. They didn't see each other that weekend. They both got a chance to present to the players. And I think where the discrepancy comes in here is we talked to two player representatives who do not remember being told in that meeting about the 2011 sexual retention lawsuit, Lloyd Howell's background. That lawsuit settled for an undisclosed sum. So we don't know how much that lawsuit settled for. But the player representatives we talked to don't remember being told about it or hearing about it. The first they heard about it was when we told them as reporters. They didn't remember it at all. But then we talked to two members of the executive committee who said, no, in fact, it had come up in their vetting process. Now, the vetting process only involved the search committee, which is the executive committee and then a few of the longest tenured player representatives. So it's a smaller group. It's not all the player representatives on the search committee. So there was a smaller group, the executive committee members told us, who were aware of this, and they did talk to the Booz Allen general counsel, and they did talk to the NFLPA's own general counsel, and they told us they were given the green light to move ahead. So they also said it came up in the election where the player representatives were in the room, but that's where they differ because the executive committee members remember someone asking a question about this at the election meeting, at the meeting before they voted. But the player representatives we talked to don't remember that. So I think, where they meet in the middle is probably this reality where the regular player representatives who were not on the board, who were not on the executive committee or the search committee, they definitely knew less about the candidates than the vetting search committee did. And I think that was the purpose in the process is the search committee wanted to be the ones to filter down the candidates and only present the players with two finalists. And in that vetting process, there was some important information that got blurred a little bit.
Which is a totally reasonable thing, right? To say like, all right, we're going to have this committee do this as opposed to having 32 voices trying to find the candidates and ask questions. But like, you have to do a good job. It's not actually that that's a bad plan, but like clearly the execution was severely lacking. And now they need another executive director. So Kaylin Kaylor, national NFL reporter for ESPN, investigative ace, working with Don Van Natta on these stories. What kind of changes do you think happen as the union has no executive director and tons of egg on its face?
Yeah, it's interesting because the players I've talked to, they really view the election of Lloyd as like a shift in the way that they think about their union. And I don't know if it's a good shift or a bad shift, but I'll just explain to you, how they view it. So under Dee Smith, the previous union director, Dee was very litigious. Dee liked to file grievances and really be a thorn in the side of the owners. He was just more of an agitator type of union director, which is probably the majority of union directors, honestly, if you look across labor unions, major labor unions in this country.
Right.
Now, Lloyd Howell, when they elected Lloyd, the big thing that they liked about Lloyd was that he understood money. He understood how to make the players more money. That was his pitch to them. And part of his pitch, as one player representative told us, is that he had been the guy working for Booz Allen, which holds a ton of defense contracts with the government. And they, it's just a huge firm with like thousands and thousands of employees. They liked the fact that he came from that world. And he told them in his pitch that he was going to be a good union director because he'd been spending his career fighting against unions. So he came from the world where the owners came from. That was his sell to the players. And he was able to really win over the players with this idea that he was going to make their union more of a business and more of a money-making venture for them than it had been. And today's player, and I know this directly from speaking to players over the last week or so about this, the one thing that they keep repeating is that they think, today's player, these guys are interested in investing their money. They're interested in doing something other than football while they're football players. That is very important to them. So that attracted them to Lloyd. And so now with Lloyd resigning, they're sort of at a turning point or an important point where they need to decide, do they want to go back to the traditional agitator type of leader, more of your person who has experience running a labor union? Or do they want to continue in the mold of Lloyd Howell and look for someone else with a finance business background and not the union background? So I think that's sort of the decision in front of them right now, is like, what is going to be the ethos and identity of the union after this shakeup?
Kaylin Kaylor with us. And Kaylin, I appreciate your time. I know you're busy and you've got making a million calls, and there's a ton of reporting to do here. So I'll just ask you one more, and I will leave this as open-ended as possible because I know this is a tough question because you are still reporting. You are playing along with Don in some kind of wacky competition with Pablo across the way as they're also
Yeah.
reporting on this. You guys are playing this bizarre game of whack-a-mole here where there are so many stories within this story. So, like, to you, what's like the one biggest unanswered actually, I don't want to ask it that way in terms of biggest unanswered question. Like, what's the biggest existential threat here? Whether it's to the league with some of the collusion stuff, to the union with Howell's conduct, like, what to you amongst all of these stories is actually like the most substantively important story or thread on this story that you feel like you guys are working on?
I think it's probably going to relate to how he was elected and looking more into their process, because as I mentioned at the top of the call, like, it was a different process than they had used before in selecting an executive director. And clearly we see now from the result of him resigning last night, that process failed them. It was not a successful process that you chose a union director who only lasted for 2 years. When you look back over the course of the union's executive director history, these are long tenured positions. I don't know off the top of my head how many years P. Smith was in the job, but it was multiple terms. He served multiple terms. And Gene Upshaw was in it for much longer than that before him. There's only been, I believe, 4 executive directors in the entire history of the players union. So I think it's a really surprising result that Lloyd Howell only lasted 2 years in the job. And I think what I have more questions on is like how that process went down, if it was in fact a fair and conducted in the right way hiring process and selection process. And then, moving forward, JC Treader, who is I think his role is Chief Strategy Officer, if I'm going to get that right. I don't have it in front of me, but it's something to do with strategy. He is still in a leadership position right now at the union. And I think he's probably someone they're considering if he could be an interim. He's probably in the list of names that the player representatives will be considering as an interim executive director here. And I think, what Pablo reported yesterday with JC's involvement in the grievance involving running backs faking injuries that the union lost, that the NFL was able to file because of something JC Treader said on a podcast. I don't know. I just think looking at more of JC Treader's role in this union is also something I'm interested in too.
Yeah, for sure. I know Pablo's done a lot of reporting on Treader's part of it. It is, it's not very flattering for Treader. And again, none of this really is for anybody involved in the union. Kaylin Kaylor doing an amazing job. Again, Don Van Natter's reporting is must read right now on ESPN.com. Kaylin, thanks for a little bit of time on a very busy day. Really appreciate it. And I hope that all these silly geese will let you have at least some semblance of a weekend.
I have to go to a wedding tomorrow, so I will be off the grid at night.
Don, you're on. Kaylin, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Kaylin Kaylor with us here on the Hoffman Show. And just by the way, to wrap up her point of how incredibly zany this is with Howell, Ed Garvey was the first executive director in the modern era of the NFL, post-merger, and the first to kind of hold the job for a long time. So there were 2 guys before him that were more temporary. But Ed Garvey was the executive director of the PA from 1971 to 1983. He gave way to Gene Upshaw, who held it from 83 to 2008. And then after an interim stint by Richard Berthelstein, which was purely interim while they elected the next director, D. Smith had it from 2009 to 2023. Howell from 23 to July 17th, a.k.a. last night of this year. So very, very, very long stints for the 3 main guys, Garvey, Upshaw, and Smith. and now Howell as the fourth guy, just a 2-year stint, embroiled in tons of controversy and tons of bad behavior, much of which we don't even know yet because there's investigations ongoing. When we get back to the players themselves, specifically Terry McLaurin, why is this contract situation so sticky, and how did our opinions change after hearing Terry speak on Tuesday? You'll hear from me and Logan Paulson on that next. But first, the latest from the world of women's sports, presented to you by Wawa. Chicken how you want it at Wawa with customizable roasted and crispy chicken sandwiches. is so loud. We got to adjust the file.
I got to remember that. That's on me.
Yeah, like honestly, just like write down set a reminder for yourself in 45 seconds. Like go in the file, just bring it down, save. Yeah. That's what we got to do.
Quick edit. You're right.
Yeah, because that one's sorry to everybody's ears. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We are live on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and the Odyssey app. And it is time for Take Command on a Friday. A little more perspective on the Terry McLaurin signing that hasn't happened yet. The Terry McLaurin negotiations from me and Logan Paulson. It's how we started the latest edition of Take Command.
It's time to take command with former NFL tight end Logan Paulson and former Commanders beat reporter Craig Hoffman.
What's up? What's happening? Welcome in. It's the Take Command podcast. Logan Paulson there. Craig Hoffman here. Here, a hotel room somewhere in Los Angeles. An unidentified hotel room in Los Angeles, California, Logan.
Yeah, I mean, you're on vacation, living your best life, but you're still grinding it out, and I appreciate that about you. Just always putting the work in.
I'm just trying to honor like a Logan Paulson-esque work ethic. You know, you guys just know him for getting after it, no days off. So I'm leaning in. Like this show is me and you, buddy, and I got to lean into that. So that's what we're doing out here in California. We're talking about the Commanders. That does mean that we're going to have to talk about this Terry McLaurin situation. The other thing we're going to do on the show today, after we talk about Terry here off the top, is we're going to do something I did on the radio last year, Logan, which was I ranked the top 10 most important Commanders. We did it over the course of like 10 days. You and I were going to do an express version. We're going to do it in 30 minutes. So we have made our list. We will go we decided we're a top-down podcast. So we will start at 1. You'll never guess who that is. And then go on down. So with that said, though, I was sitting at this very desk, Logan, yesterday with not a lot to do early in the morning West Coast time. And on my phone, the free Odyssey app, bosses will be happy on that one. I got a little note. It's like Terry McLaurin talking to the media, and I was like, "Oh, I got nothing for a little bit. Let me listen on in." And what I heard was a guy who sounded pretty upset and pretty hurt. The things he was saying was not surprising. It's consistent with, I think, a lot of the reporting that's been out there. There's a clear disconnect. I think the part where he was most passionate was when he was talking about his age and making the case of why he believes he's worth what he thinks he's worth. And obviously there's a disconnect there with what the Commanders think, because otherwise there would be a deal. The other thing I thought was interesting is there haven't been talks in a while, including it didn't seem like there was a real effort to get anything done by the time minicamp rolled through. That seems a little weird to me, but also if you're like, no, I've heard of that before, I'm very easily convinced to back off of that. But I thought it was definitely interesting. I think Terry was very authentic. I think if I was Adam Peters walking around my office, I'd be like, damn it, just from like a public perception standpoint. But ultimately, like, it does come down to like, what is Terry asking for? What is his agency asking for? What is the team? And like, we still don't know those numbers per year. Ian Rappaport has said it's something in excess of 30 million, but like, is that 30.5 million or 34 million? Like, that matters. And then I think the big one, based off Terry's comments with his age and also thinking about what really matters to the Commanders 3 years from now, clean books to get the biggest deal in NFL history done with Jaden Daniels, hopefully, because that means he's continued to be awesome. I do feel like the length of the deal has to be a big factor here. So that's kind of where I'm at after listening to it yesterday. I have some questions that I want to run by you in a second, but what were your kind of general thoughts after listening to Terry talk?
Yeah, man, I think it's always these negotiations are always tough, man, because again, it is, and Terry said it a bunch in the interview. It's all, it's a business, and I think you always try as a player to push past that business element. You kind of say, I'm part of a team, and the team is always in opposition to business, right? Business is about maximizing the company, maximizing the revenue, maximizing opportunities for other players down the road, all those different things. And so in negotiations, like, things are said that aren't always pleasant to hear, and I think that's tough. Like, I didn't have any like huge money deals, but I did a lot of 1-year deals, did 1 3-year deal, and stuff comes up and you're like, man, like, that's probably true, but I don't want to hear that, about myself as a player, right? I don't want to hear.
Well, and also, right, you have an athlete's mentality of like, okay, even if that is true, like, I'll improve that. Like, pay me for what I'm going to be, because I know I can get better at that.
I can get better. And it's interesting, like, I had a brief conversation with a coach about this once, and it's like it's hard because like you love the player, you're part of the team too, and you want the deal to get done, but also you have to kind of play the analytics game. And I only bring this up is because Terry brought up his age a bunch, but like that's a huge factor in how teams work contracts and work contract language and years and total guaranteed money, all that kind of stuff. So like ultimately, like I come down on this like with a lot of empathy for Terry because it's hard. And not only have I gone through it, but I've seen friends go through it, teammates go through it. And ultimately this is your livelihood. And I want you to get as a player, like what you feel you deserve. However, oftentimes that's at odds with the team, and the team it can feel very harsh, but again, they're just trying to be practical. So like as much as it's hurtful, just try to remove all emotion from it and just kind of say like, this is business. Like I've handled myself to the best. Like I remember when I was in Atlanta, just to kind of as an anecdotal point, is that the negotiation was not going great. It wasn't like a lot of money. It was like, vet min, kind of here's some bonuses. I got a $100,000 bonus the year before, and I was looking for something similar, and they were kind of like, absolutely not. And they said some things in that I didn't think were very nice because I played the last half of the year on a pretty significant injury. They were like, your film wasn't good, you're getting old, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I played because you asked me to. Like I could have just sat out the rest of the year. And so I called Dan, and Dan was like, thanks for calling me. Like, I appreciate you calling me. And like, I understand what you did and we appreciate it. And like, just know we value you and we value what you did. And this is part of the process, right? They're going to try and save as much money as possible. They got to extend Hooper. They got to extend all these people. And so it's not personal. And so I think just trying to remind yourself of that as often and as frequently as possible is a huge element of this. And again, empathy for Terry. I understand how hard it is, and I want him to get everything he wants out of this. But just know sometimes the team's goals are in slight opposition, and that can be difficult.
Right. And I have empathy for Adam too. And I can talk more about that in a second, but I do think that it's very easy for fans to be like, especially they want to be mean towards you. I'm going to take the tact of being a fan that's being mean towards you, Logan. Well, Logan, you were the third tight end. Like, he's Terry McLaurin. He should get whatever he wants. And like, I will say, there's a part of me that agrees with that. Like, Terry has been the heart and soul of this team. He was a beacon of light during dark times for this franchise. And while that stuff happened before Adam was here and this front office and this coaching staff were here, and much of it before ownership was here, obviously the first year for Josh, when Ron's final year wasn't exactly fun for anyone. But like, the dark times were before Harris got here. Like, that doesn't matter, my guess, too much to them, but like, it does matter to Terry, and it does matter to fans, and like, that is hard. And so this is actually, in a weird way, like, where I kind of have some empathy for Adam is that if you ask this question, right, this hypothetical question or rhetorical question, if Terry is still amazing at football, as he said, he's still a 4-3 guy. He's the guy that caught the NFC Championship game slant and took it to the house, the screen and took it to the house against Detroit. He said he's still 4-3 fast, and he said it with the confidence that that was a man that has been on a stopwatch recently. He hasn't missed a game in 5 years. If he's the heart and soul of the team, if he's done everything you asked, why wouldn't they just pay him? Well, do we think Adam Peters is smart? Do we think Adam Peters doesn't know these things? So like, where's the disconnect? And that's where I have the empathy for Adam, and where I still will go back to, as much as like, I agree with all of the stuff that Terry says and the thing that every fan, like, if I'm being honest, Logan, like, should Terry, probably based off the pure market value of him as a football player, make $32 million a year? No. Would I, Craig Hoffman, general manager, pay him $32 million the next 2 years before I have to worry about that Jaden extension as a thank you for being Terry freaking McLaurin? Like, honestly, considering their cap situation, if I don't feel like I need that $2 million, which they definitely don't this year, I'd have to take a closer look at next year, but there are no major extensions coming up, I probably would do that. But then if that's all the case, and we also all agree in this Commanders universe that Adam Peters is really freaking smart, he's very good at his job, then what is being asked? Like, what is the disconnect? And that's what we don't know. And that is where, like, how your agent translates information to a player can affect how hurt they are, where, what the conversations are. And like, that DK Metcalf deal, like, if I'm Terry, I want more than that. But like, that deal was a joke in many ways. Like, what the player understands about salary structures and cap structures, like, this is where it gets really hairy and the details matter. And where on some level I think both sides can be right, even if they seem diametrically opposed.
Yeah, and this was interesting. We did a segment about this like weeks ago, like the highest highest receiver salaries based on whatever annual value, whatever it was, and it was, and we went through it at the time, and I remember thinking like this DK Metcalf deal is going to be a problem because like it is such an outlier. Because again, like, you go through the list, it's like the guys you would expect to be the top 8 highest paid receivers. It's almost that in order, if I remember correctly. It's very, very close.
Which do you want? I pulled it up. Do you want total value or average annual salary?
I think it's average annual. I don't remember. It was one of the ones. It was like a list where you're like, oh my gosh, like these guys all kind of make sense.
Actually, I think it was total value because here's your. It's like a game of which one of these doesn't belong here. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf is 4. Garrett Wilson, recently paid by the Jets this week, is 5. St. Brown, Ayuk, Higgins are the top 8.
Right, and Higgins just got redone, right? So like it was. I remember thinking like those 4 dudes, and then DK Metcalf to me is kind of in the wrong zip code at that point. And I like DK Metcalf as a player, but I don't think he's in that same pantheon.
AAV is bad too, actually, because DK's technically got 33 AAV, which is very high. But it's like the structure of his contract, for folks that didn't hear that episode, like that's not how the salary cap is actually going to work. And there is a chance that this turns into a 2-year, $60 million contract, even though on paper it is 5 for 135.
Yeah. So the reason I bring this up is because like the best receivers in football are the 4 guys at the top of that list, probably AJ Brown. Yeah. I would put Amon-Ra is probably in there too in some capacity. And then you could kind of argue who the next, I'm probably forgetting somebody about who the next guy is. Right. And so the reason I bring this up is because, you know, if I'm Terry's agent, I look at it and I say, we are more valuable than DK Metcalf. Like just like, full stop, no issue there, right? Like we've just been more productive, we've been healthier, we've been more quarterback agnostic, like we deserve more money than him. But if I'm the team, if I'm Adam, again, this is where the empathy for both sides is important because I think Terry is doing what's best for Terry. Terry's agent has a really legitimate argument that he should be paid more than DK Metcalf. Like to me, it's not even a debate, but that's a bad deal. That's a bad deal for the team, the DK Metcalf.
Well, here's the thing though. It's not a bad deal for the team. It's a good deal for the team that looks like a bad deal for the team on paper. And if Terry is by his agent, if Terry's agent isn't willing to explain that to Terry, Terry's going to be really hurt. But again, DK signed what could very well and almost very likely turn into a 2-year, $60 million deal. That is very different than 4 for 132 or 5 for 132, whatever it is. Like he's not actually getting 33 AAV. And that structure for the deal doesn't work for the Commanders. For the Steelers, they're planning on having a rookie quarterback contract that starts next year, right? So them stretching out DK's signing bonus proration money over the course of 5 years is a huge win for them because they can take these little cap hits 3, 4, and 5 years into the deal when DK is not on the team. That's the opposite of the Commanders, who have their rookie quarterback contract for the next 3 years. And then we'll have to sign we'll have the biggest quarterback number on the books in the entire league when Jaden gets there. So like the structure and the total value, like the details really matter. And you know, if I'm Terry's agent, I'm trying to tell him, and if I'm Adam, I'm trying to get across, like, we'll give you more guaranteed money than DK Metcalf. The money and the years and the cash you will see are likely going to be more than DK unless DK turns into a whole new player in Pittsburgh. But like, he's getting cut in 2028 or 2027, whichever the year is. You're going to play out your deal here, and we want you to retire a Commander.
No, I think that's it. And I think that's where the language of the deal is so important, and like how the money is being allocated is so important, and understanding that I'm not just trying to beat player X, in this case, DK Metcalf, right? Even though and I understand like Terry's agent, like if I'm looking at the sheet, he should be paid more than this guy. And so now let's go get paid more than that guy, all those different things, right? But as I empathize with Adam too, because again, like we just talked about how the structures are going to be different. It's different for Pittsburgh than it is here in Washington. And if that's not being articulated well via the agent, or, you know, the communication's not where it needs to be, like that. And that's something we maybe should talk about more. Cause like one of the things that I always appreciated about my agent is that he did a really, 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 really good job of explaining the exact situation the exact zip code I should be expecting to be in from a salary standpoint. And then like for contract structures, he's like, you deserve, like, I remember when I signed my 3-year extension in 2012, he was like, you deserve to be paid X. But because of these reasons, it was like 3 or 4 reasons. One of them, I was a restricted free agent. Like there was a bunch of different things, right? He's like, there's no way you're going to make that much money. So you need to like reassess your expectations. You're probably going to be in here. And so then when the number came in that they brought, and it was much closer to the number he said to expect, it wasn't quite as jarring and as shocking and as hurtful as it had been if he had just been like, we are expecting this amount of money, full stop. He kind of went through all the caveats and said, I actually think you're going to be end up here. And I think like that's helpful in these situations. And again, I don't know Terry's agent. I've never met him. I've never spoken to him, but you hear through the grapevine that he can be a little bit difficult. And I think this is one of the areas where it might be applicable. Right. So I think, again, like this is a tough situation. I think ultimately they get it resolved. I want Terry to get everything that he wants. I want the team to get everything that they want. I just, knowing negotiations, like this is part of it. I'm trying to think of a good example. It's like basically if you're up for a new contract at work, they're going to try and lowball you and you're going to feel hurt. But here the money numbers are so big and you get to know everybody else's salary that has your same position. So it's like, well, this guy's getting way more than me, right? And it can make the process tough. So as a former player, I want the players to get a lot of money. This is what you're doing. And I want the team, because I'm a fan of the Commanders, to make good business decisions. And I think you articulated that really well, is that like, I trust Adam. I trust that he's going to handle this and this is the other thing that's important to know too. Like I've interacted with Adam in these kind of settings and he is a good person. He's not going to say things to be intentionally hurtful, right? Like that's just not who he is, right? He cares about the person. And that's one of the things that makes him special. And that's not me talking. That's everybody that I've ever talked to who's knows Adam. They say the same thing. So just understand,
it is you talking as someone who's been in that chair.
Correct. But it's like, Terry's a good dude. Adam's a good dude. And this is part of the friction of making these contracts happen. It's just part of it. Yeah. And hopefully it gets done sooner rather than later. But again, like this is why it's difficult. And I point to the DK Metcalf contract, because that is going to make it a little bit more difficult than probably needs to be, because there's this kind of outlier number here that if I'm Terry or his agent, I'm like, we need to be more than that. And if I'm Adam, I'm like, that's a bad deal, in the sense that it doesn't fit our current structure.
Right. You're looking at the wrong metrics of that deal. Stop looking at AAV. Stop looking at this. He didn't actually So look at the total guarantees, which for DK, let's see, where did that go real quick? Let me just resort that column, hit the old backspace. Guaranteed at signing, DK got $60 million. Beating that, to me, for Terry, should not be that hard. So that's the number that I think I'd be looking at. The practical guarantee, like a lot of the, guaranteed at signing. Amon-Ra St. Brown only got 34, but his practical guarantees is 77. So like DK was 60 and 60. Like you can do the guaranteed at signing, here's a huge chunk of change deal, and also guaranteed at or the practical guarantees, and you can beat DK on those numbers, but you're not going to beat total value. You're not going to beat the average annual salary, which is the number that a lot of people care about ego wise. And Terry kind of talked about that. It was like, the money is how they show that you care. It's not to me about getting extra money. Like, yes, I want to take care of my family for generations, but like, I'm not going to sweat an extra whatever. It's about being able to say like, I'm one of those dudes. And I think that if he's too focused on that number and DK, then this is going to be a really tough negotiation. I don't know how you square that. But hopefully they get it done, because Terry is really important to the Commanders, which we're going to go now to just how important he is to the Commanders.
And in doing so, we ranked the top 10 Commanders. Check out that podcast, the rest of it, wherever you get yours. Just search Take Command on the Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Of course, you can watch full episodes as well on YouTube at the Team 980. When we get back, we wrap up the show with a quick edition of Real Things Real People Said into real microphones. didn't get this last week because my last day was Thursday. The Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio as well. Anthony Haney there, Craig Hoffman here, wrapping up our weeks. Haney's got a busy weekend ahead. I have the opposite. Like, bro, I don't want to do a thing this weekend. We're gonna do a little dinner tomorrow night, but like that'll be nice. I'll sit in my house all day other than that. And Sunday should be pretty chill too. Maybe go for a little walk, a little run, a little bike ride, something like that to get outside. But like, this is too much traveling. Got more on deck. Inside weekend. I'm going to enjoy. I'm paying for my home. I'm going to enjoy it.
I love that for you, Craig.
You're going to be outside.
I will be outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tonight, by the way, you got the NBA or the WNBA All-Star Skills contest and All-Star Friday night. The WNBA All-Star game, of course, is tomorrow night, 8:30 on ABC. And that brings us to Real Things Real People Said into real microphones.
Real things.
We're not gonna suck this year.
Real people.
5 and 11, not very good.
Said into real microphones.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
So the Mystics have not one, not two, but 3 All-Stars now. Sonia Citron and Kiki Ariafin make it as rookies on the initial ballot, and then as a couple players dropped, including and ultimately Caitlin Clark, Brittany Sykes got the call, and she told the story at W All-Star Media Day about how she got it and how she feels about it. I thought this was incredibly interesting and heartfelt from Brittany Sykes.
Brittany, congratulations, first of all. Where were you and what were you doing when you got the call? And can you just walk us through the emotions of it?
All right. So I'm in LA since we played LA the last game, right? My lovely girlfriend is from California, so we decided to spend All-Star break in Cali. It is 6:30 in the morning. I'm reaching for some water, and I see my GM call me, and I'm just like, why in the heck is Jamila calling me at 6:30 in the morning? And you know, if for somebody to call me, like everybody knows, calling my phone, like it better be something that does not have to be put in an email or a text message. Mm-hmm. She's like, hey, you're gonna get a call. And I'm like, from who? Because you're calling me right now. And I'm like halfway asleep too. She's like, I know, I'm sorry, Slim. There's like a whole bunch of going on in the background. She's packing her bags to get here. She's like, well, Kathy's gonna call you, and so yeah, are you gonna go? And I was like, because in the moment, emotions were high because one, this is like the second time around with her reserve situation, and I'm human, you know. I make the joke, I feel like the last kid, you know, on the playground, but goddamn, you know, like it was pretty damn obvious, you know, that pick, and I fought with myself, you know, today to be like, oh, do you go in humble? Do you go in, you know, with the chip on your shoulder? It's like, no, I'm just keeping it 1,000 with you guys. Like, in that moment, I was frustrated, but at the same time, I realized, you know, this is something that I wanted. This is something I talked to God about, and I feel like he was like, all right, you really want it? We about to see. And, you know, everything kind of happened the way it did, but you can't complain about something that you want, you know, and how it's delivered, you know, but we're here, and the league got it right a second time.
Did you see her stories, Anthony? Her trip. She's out in L.A.
Bro.
She got to Indy at 4 a.m.
Because of delay after delay after delay.
Yeah, and plus, if she was coming from L.A., it was probably it got delayed and then was turned into a red eye.
Oh, yep.
So she gets to. By the way, I got some flight delay stories from the last couple weeks. But let me tell you, if your flight's gonna get delayed, you want it delayed while you're in the airport, not sitting at your gate on the plane.
Yeah,
that was not a good 3 hours that we were at our gate on the plane when we could have been sitting in the airport. But I'll save that rant for another day.
You're a better man than me, Craig.
I wasn't psyched.
Okay.
I may have filed a couple complaints. I had time, nothing else to do. Started watching stuff I was going to watch on the flight. Anyway, where was I? I'm blinded by rage. Slim, she got there at 4 a.m. She's at practice by 8 a.m., doing the media stuff after that. Thankfully, she is not participating in the skills stuff tonight. Sonia Citron. Make sure you catch her in the three-point contest. And also, A-plus job, WNBA. Don't say this all the time, but A-plus job, Lexi Hull being the replacement for Caitlin Clark in the three-point contest to get the hometown flavor. Lexi's very, very deserving. Obviously, like, their options were limited to Fever players because you're not going to – or someone else who was in town for All-Star, but – I don't know how many other players like have their full repertoire of basketball shoes and such available, their uniform, etc. So Lexi gets the call. It's probably either her or Kelsey Mitchell, but going Lexi, I think, is an A-plus call. Kelsey Mitchell's already an All-Star playing in the game tomorrow night. So love that from the W. Get the hometown crowd fired up for a player who's very deserving. Sony, obviously.
I'm just making sure. I'm going with the hometown kid too.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's great shooters. Sabrina's an insanely good shooter. KP's doing it. She's great. Got that quick release. Yep. But like, I'm just betting on Sony. I will bet on Sonia Citron until the day she retires.
If she wins, will she smile, or will she show some type of excitement?
She will smirk.
Okay,
I'm predicting a very, very solid smirk.
I'm predicting all 32 pearly whites.
Yeah, I got a really hearty laugh out of Sidney Johnson last week when we interviewed him, or when I interviewed him after the game at Eagle Bank, and I said I knew Sony was really, really mad at a call because she did half an eye roll.
Oh wow! Nice.
So that I knew she was ticked.
That's something.
Yeah, she's just cool. One cool customer. It was actually, I was watching earlier today. There was Sony and Kiki sat down with Sue Bird for an interview on Sue's podcast. And Sue started off by saying, like, I think one reason why both of y'all have been so good is because your games are really mature. And Kiki's like, wow, like, thank you so much. I don't feel that way. Like, I feel like I'm sped up. You know, my coach is always saying slow is pro, and I'm not there yet. And Sony's like, and so Sue was like, Sony, do you agree with that? And she's like, yeah, like I can get better, but yeah, I kind of play at my own pace. I'm like, you're so sick.
Yeah.
She's good. She's good, that Sonia Citron. So the three of them, Slim, getting to play this weekend. Sony, Kiki, going to be a fun W weekend in Indy. We'll be watching. We'll talk about it and really kick off our Commanders preview because training camp starts next week on Monday. We'll see you then. Have a great weekend, everybody. It's the Hoffman Show. Signing off.